Good morning, gang. Happy Monday morning. Okay, we're going to do a little time travel this morning. How many of you guys vividly remember what happened in August 2020 up in Kenosha, Wisconsin? May I remind you, that was the whole riots, protests, Kyle Rittenhouse situation. Okay? And it was big news. It was the whole Black Lives Matter protests, yada, 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 burning buildings down and all this because some nobody got killed, right? And of course, all the unhinged liberals had to come out and destroy cities. And of course, we saw this in Seattle and in Portland and in Minneapolis and in St. Louis and probably many other places that never made the news. But Kenosha was the big one. Okay? And we go back and you take a look at how everything happened with Kyle Rittenhouse, defending his boss's property, basically, being chased down by a mob, wound up shooting 3 people, and then had his whole life hanging in the balance. He could have spent the rest of his life in prison. Fortunately, common sense prevailed, and they realized that he was the good guy taking out the bad guys. Now, let's fast forward to 2025 and where we are now. We've all seen the burning, firebombing, Molotov cocktails thrown at Tesla dealerships. We've seen the keying, painting swastikas, spray painting racist on the side of people who have Teslas, etc., etc., etc. How far does this go? Are you ready to be Kyle Rittenhouse? And I'm not talking about protecting your boss's business. I'm talking about protecting your house. What have you done? We've talked about security many, many times. We've talked about getting training with firearms many, many times. Owning multiple weapons for different purposes many, many, many times. Have you taken action? The left is completely unhinged. The Democrats are sitting at 27% approval. They're trotting out AOC and Bernie Sanders as the answer to save the country. If communism is what you think will save the country, you're delusional. Okay. But there are, well, at least in Colorado this week, 30,000 people. Granted, most of them were paid attendees and just complete morons who were there to listen to Bernie and AOC talk. But these people exist. They exist in your town, in your neighborhood. They could be in your family. There's going to be a tough one. We have politicians on the left calling for the assassination of Donald Trump, calling for the assassination of Elon Musk. Jasmine Crockett is trying to backpedal everything that she said, but the internet never dies. The internet never forgets. It's out there. We have plenty of members of well-known organizations, the media, for example, calling for the assassination of the president, the assassination of Elon Musk, because they're so afraid that their corruption, their grift, is going to get exposed. You know, you look at what's going on. It's not cutting Social Security. It's not cutting Medicare. It's cutting the fraud and the waste out of it. There's nobody in this country that should be against getting rid of fraud and waste. Unless, of course, you're one of the beneficiaries of collecting from that fraud. Criminals will do anything to protect their empire, right? Look at the mafia. Look at the cartels. What do? They'll go out and kill people to protect their interest, their criminal empire. The Democrats are calling for the same thing. I mean, let's take a look at this picture. This was posted up on TikTok over the weekend, portraying Donald Trump sitting in the car instead of JFK. I had a dream. That wouldn't be Martin Luther King. Yeah, this is what these people are publicly stating on social media. You know, you look at, remember a couple of years ago, and I mean, I get a strike on the channel every few weeks because I wanted to talk about alternative medicines. Okay, we're just going to leave it there. And that was enough to get me taken down from social media. But to post something for the assassination of the sitting president of the United States, to kill somebody, that's allowed. I mean, why don't we take a look at this little clip? This is one of the leaders of the Lincoln Project, a supposedly conservative, authors of Project 2025, a conservative outlet, and we get this kind of comment.
And the donor class can't just sit back on the sidelines and say, oh, well, don't worry, this will all work itself out. They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
You think it's just talking heads? That it's just people with a soapbox and a bullhorn that they can stand on? No. This stuff like this is all over social media too. This is a woman calling for riots, burning, and of course, with those you wind up with killings of conservatives, of, for the most part, who watch this channel, you and me.
Dude, we're underreacting. We need to be rioting, not protesting. We need to be, burning shit to the ground. Somebody needs to be a hero. Somebody needs to be a fucking hero. We'd all think you were rad. Be a hero.
What happens when that angry mob, waving their torches, their pitchforks, their dildos, walking up down the street with their purple hair and their signs, decides, hey, you know what? We're going to firebomb this building. We're going to burn down, throw Molotov cocktails at this house. We're going to shoot the people in those cars. That's coming, guys. This is mob mentality. This is what the unhinged left, who is completely losing their mind, what little they have left, okay, is planning on doing. They realize that the country ain't going the way they want. All of a sudden, kumbaya didn't work so well. And the majority of Americans, I think it's 63% right now, agree with deporting every illegal. We could talk about abortion. We could talk about Doge. We could talk about all these different things. We could talk about tariffs or fentanyl or whatever. All the things that the Democrats think we need to be on the opposite side with. They are not the party of let's work together. They're the party of end them at all costs. It was August 2020, the middle of summer, when Kenosha went down. We're coming up on warmer weather. Liberals typically don't like rain or cold weather or anything. They want to go out and raise hell when it's comfortable to be outside. That's coming pretty soon. In the next few months, the weather is going to be warmer and warmer and nicer and nicer. It's the end of March. By the middle of June, most of the country is in the 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever. It's warm out. And the liberals are going to go nuts. They are making plans to do more than just firebomb a Tesla dealership or to spray paint cars. What happens when, not if, some lunatic only takes one? Look what that woman said. We need a hero. They need one person to go out and start this. What happens when that happens? How are you going to react? How are you going to protect yourself? There's a lot of keyboard Rambos out there who will be, oh, I'll have no problem. I'll tell you what, the first time you're looking through the sights, through your red dot, whatever, of a rifle, of a pistol, and there's a human being on the other side, not a paper silhouette, that's tough. Do you have the mental resolve to protect yourself? If somebody kicks in your door in the middle of the night, do you have what it takes to end the confrontation? Everybody will say they do. A lot of people don't. That's a life-changing decision that you may have to make. I've talked about insurance before. I would highly suggest it. Okay. You look at what Kyle Rittenhouse went through to protect himself, and he had millions of dollars in legal fees to keep himself out of jail as a teenager. Life in jail when you are 18, you're looking at 60, 70 years, potentially. But you got to do it, because otherwise his life could have lasted 60 or 70 seconds. We may have some seriously tough decisions to make. A lot more than, honey, do I pay the electric bill or buy groceries? That's a tough decision. Okay. Do I take a life? That's a real tough decision. Probably be the toughest one you ever have to make. But when it comes down to survival, which most people on this channel are probably going to say they believe in, when it comes to survival, in a situation such as we've seen in the past, and it's looking like we're going to see in the future, can you do it? Do you have the mental capacity, the mental wherewithal to do it? Because if you don't, you'll second guess yourself for the rest of your life. Imagine your kid gets killed, your spouse. Imagine standing on the street corner watching your house burn because you wouldn't take out the guy with the Molotov cocktail. It's a tough decision. It's a tough video to make, to think about these things. It's going to happen to people. Do you honestly think the people 5 years ago in August, when they woke up in Kenosha, Wisconsin, thought that night their city would be burning? No. You have no idea when it's going to happen. It could happen tomorrow. It could happen next week, next month. It may never happen. But there's enough unhinged lunatics out there, and all it takes is one. Pinball out.